As we plan for a PBL unit, it's really important to have a strong understanding of what PBL is and what it is not. PBL is not learn then do, where kids create something after the content has been delivered. It's not a prescriptive approach that simply gets kids making something for the sake of making something. On the contrary, PBL is an adaptive and creative pedagogical approach steeped in real-world context and human connections. It aims to make learning deep and exploratory, giving kids a chance to uncover important content as they create something that addresses an authentic problem. When PBL is done well, the project becomes the curriculum, and that's the type of PBL unit we want to help you plan. There is not one right or wrong way to plan and/or facilitate a high-quality PBL unit, but there are good strategies to utilize. We're here to share what we've learned through our experiences in planning PBL units.
Finding a good topic for a PBL unit is essential. It's often at the intersection of key content I want my kids to uncover in a real problem in the world. You can either start with your content and sync it with the problem, or you can find an issue, such as one of the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and then tie in the content. Once I've found a good topic and written a driving question, I'll ask myself 3 questions. Is this relevant? That is, will the kids see the value? Secondly, is it authentic? Does it connect to a real context? And third, is it rigorous? Will I be able to challenge all of my students appropriately? Once I've done that, I can start thinking about the experiences I want from my students in the project launch and the project core.
I go about planning a PBL unit by starting in reverse. I start at the end, what I want my students to have, and in this case I wanted them to have a poem that was about them, that was meaningful to them, that they could share with a wider audience. With a PBL unit, you're planning for your students to have some community outreach. You're planning for them to have a project that's going to be meaningful, that's going to matter to them, that's going to last forever.
There's an element of real-world application to the PBL project.
We want to have the students come up with what they're doing, whereas with a typical unit, it's much more about covering content than it is about uncovering content.
When you embed content standards in a PBL unit, it's pretty similar to when you're planning for a typical unit. However, in this case, when you put those standards in a PBL unit, you're also thinking about your community outreach, and you're thinking about how this project is going to shape up at the end instead of the typical test or quiz that your students may take.
One piece of advice I would give to a teacher who wants to start with PBL is to have them start with a driving question that comes from a unit of study that they already do with their students.
Find a connection with your curricula that connects to a real-world problem, and don't be afraid to get out of your comfort zone.
I would tell teachers to go with it. Do it. Don't stop. Don't be deterred. Keep going. And at the end of the day, your students will be so glad you did this, and you'll have a meaningful project that they'll remember forever.
Sometimes I have a sense of what the final products could be while I plan the unit, but other times I lean into what the students get excited about during the project launch. Maybe I have an idea that the whole class works on, like a culminating showcase event, but the kids get to choose what they create in small teams. Let the context of the project decide, but know that giving students a lot of agency to make it their own will go a long way.
It is beyond the surface level of education. I have been spoken at and taught at in so many different class formats, and I can confidently say that this class format has been the one that I'm taking away the most in terms of life skills, collaboration. It's things that I'm going to take with me for the rest of my life, and I think that's the most valuable thing that education could provide me with.
Learning through projects makes me care about what I'm doing, which makes me want to invest my time and energy into it. I want to thank all of my teachers for all the hard work they do and encourage everyone to give project-based learning a try. So, what do you say?